Hey everybody, welcome to another video. I'm gonna go over I'm gonna do a spoiler reaction review, whatever. My opinion on the Masters Universe Revolution. That's currently on Netflix right now. That posted last Wednesday. I did my first video, kind of my spoiler-free reaction to the first episode. I did watch all of it that evening. I was going to save some for the weekend, but that didn't happen, so I ended up binging on them and watching them all Thursday night. So, again, there's going to be some spoilers here. I'm not crazy spoilers, I guess. Well, I guess if I tell you exactly what happens, I guess it's a spoiler. But anyways, I'm just warning you right now, spoilers. And I'm going to talk about the whole all five episodes. But before I do that, I just wanted to say over the weekend I did finally got Secret Wars #1, and I picked up this X-Men #4 while I was there. My local comic book shop, Cashman's Comics. I stopped in there. I called him up and he said he had one because I was going to order everything at the end of the month on Golden Apple, but they sold out of this like the first day, so I couldn't. I kind of waited. I hesitated. And but I called him up and he had a couple of copies and he said, yeah, I'll hold one aside for you. And then when I went in there, I haven't been there a long time, and he said he put me in his pull list. So he's going to pull all Marvel facsimiles that come across. I'll keep an eye on what's coming out and let him know. I can text him and tell him to put things in my pull box, but he's going to pull all the Secret Wars, all of those Amazing Spider-Mans, the X-Men's, whatever. Have him pull all my all the facsimiles. It's holding to hold off on the DC stuff because there's only certain DC things I was looking for. So that's covered. I can just go in like once a month and just pick up what's in my box. So that's kind of the way they used to, or they still do it, but it's the way I kind of did it way back in the 90s. So got those. Just wanted to let everybody know about that, in case you're worried. Anyways, yeah, so let's get into the revelations. So I'm going to switch over here. I was just going to show some screenshots from Netflix. Again, I don't want to play the video because I don't want to get copyright infringed or whatever, stamped or whatever. And I can't really skip through on Netflix. I don't have Netflix. I don't. It's problematic to get it on my computer. Let me just put it that way. So I'm just going to what do you call it? Just show a few pictures. I mean, some of the things I was thinking of, I'll show you what that stuff is. But we'll just go through some of the stuff here. But I'm just going to put this up as a graphic, so you got something to look at besides me. Anyways. Yeah, like I said, I watched the whole thing Thursday night. I was under the impression, now here's the thing, I was under the impression, judging by the first one, that there was going to be a second 5 episodes, because when Revelation came out, they said, oh, well, here's the first 5, that happened like in July, and because I was on vacation at the time, we watched them up at the cabin, not my cabin, but a cabin we borrowed, and, we watched it up there, and when I got back, or then they said, oh, it's only the first 5 episodes, the second 5 episodes to make the 10 episodes of the season, or the show, whatever you want to call it, was going to air at the end of the summer, which it did, and I watched those. So I just assumed, when I saw it was 5 episodes, I just assumed the same thing, that we're going to have 5 episodes, and then they're going to continue it, like, maybe in the summer, or whatever, the end of the summer. I don't know if that's the case, because as I was watching it, I'm like, well, okay, well, it seems like they're kind of wrapping things up, like the story arc is kind of coming to a close, and by the time the final episode hit, it was like, He-Man saves the day, or they all saved the day, whatever. They saved the day, and then, Skeletor's, vanquished, as it were. All the other baddies are vanquished, and that's, and they have a little bit of a kind of a teaser at the very end of it, but other than that, what's going to happen in season is there going to be another 5 episodes this year, or of Revolution? Sorry, I got Revelation up here. Is there going to be another here, Revolution, or is it, with the Horde and maybe She-Ra? What's going on with that? I'm not sure. So, I was just kind of like, don't tell me you're only going to get 5 episodes now. It's just like, we made us wait for 5 episodes in the first one, and then, which is fine, but it was kind of annoying. Although, again, I would rather have them space them out anyway, so that's fine. And then you hit us with this new show, and then you only give us 5 episodes. Really? I could see that this show would probably cost a pretty penny, because the voice actors alone who they got in here was pretty crazy. Obviously Mark Hamill coming back as Skeletor's voice, which is, he just does the Joker. Mark Hamill has one animation voice. It's the Joker. And Evelyn, of course, now, or not Evelyn, what's her face up there? I see her in the corner. Motherboard. She's voiced by Meg Foster, the original, not the original Evelyn from the Filmation show, but the original Evelyn live actress from the movie in 1987 with Dolph Lundgren. That was a nice touch. I like that. But then they do the thing, like, here we go with the spoilers. So they do the thing with Keldor, which I'm not really a Keldor fan, because I never really watched all of 2000X, and I wasn't really, I did think, I just don't like it. And they really got into the Keldor thing in there. The Keldor thing, I believe, didn't even exist for the Filmation show. It's a newer thing. And so they do the Keldor thing, and of course Keldor's Skeletor, but he's got like this repressed, like he's repressed the memory, like he kind of blocked out the memories, or however they just explained it. But Keldor's voice is voiced by William Shatner. So listening to Keldor Skeletor with a split personality arguing back and forth between Luke Skywalker and Captain Kirk was pretty cool. I gotta say, that's pretty cool. Is one of those ones where it's just like, okay, it's like I want to do something pretty badass, and that was, obviously I think Kevin Smith pulled out all of his favors from all of his celebrity buds, because if Stan Lee was alive, he probably would have had Stan Lee in it. But that was fine. Lena Headey, of course, coming back as Evelyn. The other guy from Game of Thrones, Sir, whatever his name is, still does Duncan, Man-at-Arms. But he's Man of War. Man of War! The band? Man of War? So anyways, what's her face, though? You see her there in the bottom corner of the thing. I can't even remember her character's name now. But again, they really sidelined her. And I know she was a point of contention for people with the first one. I think it was just because the way they kind of handled the story is why people had issues. Of course, a lot of people just had issues because they just love to hate. I just, listening to some of the things that people would say about the character, though, I just found funny in a bad way. Because it's just like, there's a lot of very overtly, I'm not going to name any names or call out anybody, but a lot of the rhetoric I heard about the first one, is very, how do I say it? It's almost like they quick to label things, as, it's lesbian. Even if it is, who cares, right? Like I said, I don't like the forced, the really shoving that stuff down your throat, the LGBT stuff, and making such a big deal about it. I don't like that. I also don't like the people who instantly, it's like, yes, you don't like gays, right? You're not going to admit it because you're not going to ruin your YouTube channel and your YouTube career, have people, call you out for what you are, right? But that's really why you're really you don't like it. You could say that you don't. You can say, well, that's not true. Yeah, it's true. I can tell it in your voice. I'm a pretty good read of people, and I can smell it in your voice. I could tell that's what. Trust me. I had a very, very, very racist, very homophobic father, right? And I listened to him for years, and I can tell when somebody's really thinking when it comes to that. And I can all this rhetoric and all this negative stuff about it, just like, yeah, you guys are really, you know, you're putting on a show because you want to make money and get clicks, right? But I know how you really think. Me personally, I just don't care. Like I said, I don't like it pushed in my face either. I can agree to that regard, right? And I think some people use that as a shield to hide behind and say, it's like, well, I don't like all this forced diversity pushed in my face, right? Yeah, say what you really think, because I know what you really think. And again, I just don't have I don't have a pony in the dog show or a dog in the pony show or whatever. I don't have a whatever. I just don't care. Again, I don't like to see any kind of like forced anything, or that's just kind of, it takes precedence over the thing that it is. I don't like that. But really, at the end of the day, I don't care if you put lesbians and stuff or transgender people stuff. Don't do it. Like I said, just have a point to do it, and like I said, I'm not homophobic in any way. However, I do find certain people. I'm not saying anybody specific, but I don't like certain people who really it's grating sometimes. It just gets on my nerves. Like, it's like, can you tone it down a bit? I used to, like I said, I used to have a job, worked in a big city, and I had a lot of gay men for fellow employees and customers. And a lot of the men that were that were there, some of them were pretty. I mean, I was friends with some of them, right? But even the ones I was friends with would say, like, some of these guys just got to turn it down a bit. It's just off the charts, and they've even had issues with the company, having to step them aside and say, hey, you got to, you're at a workplace, you got to tone down, it's just things that they were saying. It's just like going like, why would you say that in front of customers, or they're just always on, and, and they're just like, sometimes that stuff can get a little grating. Right? I have no problem with, who you're having sexual relations with, right? But when the personality is really like, smothering you, it's just like, idle down. I try, if I have a problem with my personality, or I'm coming off too whatever on people, I try to, pull things back. I'm pretty empathetic. I can understand how other people feel like, oh God, I must sound like a dick. I got to really, rein it in here. I think some people, and I'm not just saying, gay men specifically, just an example that I worked with, are, have a tendency, it's like, I don't think they're self-aware, or maybe they are, they just don't care. Because that's the other thing I've found, is a lot of gay men are very arrogant. I can't say as much about gay women because I haven't hung around them as much. Although there was a couple that I was friends with too, and they were pretty down to earth. But a lot of the dudes, and this is a big city, a big city, a lot of money, and very gentrified, and they're very just like, it's like, dude, it's like, get over yourself. It's like, I don't know, especially, it's like they're always on and they're always trying to, they don't have any, whatever. Listen, I'm not going to get into that. But this is what I'm trying to explain is it doesn't really matter to me as long as it doesn't suffocate the whatever property it is. But I don't think that was the case in this. I think it was just, maybe it was implied. I don't know. Maybe that was kind of where they're going. But obviously, Tila, spoiler alert, ends up with He-Man at the end of the movie. Prince Adam, He-Man at the end of the movie, or the end of the series. And her friend is just a friend. It's just like, even if she was bisexual, she liked them both, right? Who cares, right? I don't think it belongs in a show like this. It just kind of, like I said, they don't really go into the sexuality of any of the characters, that much. I mean, it's all kind of just like fantasy storybook puppy love, kind of swoopiness to it. I don't think that they get specifically, what they're doing. But yeah, like I said, that did not bother me in the first one. I did have an issue with them spending a little bit way too much time on Tila and her friend. I can't remember what her friend's name is. That was a little like, maybe you should have kept He-Man in it more. I think the way the whole thing fell apart in the first one. With them discovering He-Man and stuff. And also, I don't like that He-Man's not He-Man. Not his covers. Not secret anymore. He's everybody knows Clark Kent's Superman kind of thing. It's just like, I guess if he's going to be the king of Eternia, right? I don't know. That part was just kind of blah. Here's the other thing: is okay. Does she obviously Tila likes He-Man, right? Everybody wants to see He-Man, right? Why would anybody want to see Adam anymore? Wouldn't he just be He-Man all the time? Wouldn't that make more sense? And it kind of creates that problem. It's like, okay, well, you knew he was Adam, right? It's like, oh, well, we'd like to see Adam again. Why? You all like the guy who's 3 times the size, the strongest man in the universe. Tila obviously likes the bigger dude than the younger looking guy that looks a lot younger than her. You kind of shot yourself in the foot there. Other things like changing Orko. Now Orko's super powerful. It's fine, whatever. I don't care. I thought adding Granomir in it was pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of the way they drew him. He looks way too Game of Thronesy, modern day fantasy. I think having him look a little bit at least like the old Granomir would have been better, because the old Granomir had like a certain charm to him the way he was. We had I guess he's got the helmet here now, but it's all like cyber cool helmet, cyber, whatever, dude bro helmet. It's just like, it's not the cool kind of pot helmet that he had before, which had like a cool look to it. I always thought that the original Granomir was like, is this from something else? Because this looks a lot too cool for Filmation. But and then what else do you got going on here? But yeah, again, her friend or whatever. I want to say Tara, but that's not her name. I want to say she seems to be sidelined. I mean, they had her very briefly in the very beginning, and she showed up here and there. She's like, oh, I'm Man-at-Arms, and I guess she comes back and she does create some tech and stuff. I guess they didn't super sideline her. She's not a main character, so I guess that's fine. I guess they did a good job. I just seemed like at first they kind of sidelined her. Like I said, I had no problem with her. I actually like the look of the character. I mean, everybody that's the thing. Everybody calls it. It's like, oh, it's the mentally ill haircut. It's just like, just what? Do you want everybody to look like the 50s? It's like you don't want anybody to. I don't understand the hate towards like females with short hair, or like I said, the blue hair and the stuff. I think it gets a little excessive. And again, I think there's a time and the place for some of that stuff. I think when you're young, maybe it looks cool. You're still in high school, or whatever, in college, where it really doesn't matter that your hair is blue. I think when you're like 50, like when you're my age, and your hair's graying and you're dyeing it, Kool-Aid blue, it looks odd. Like, really? Or the shaved head thing. But I always thought I think a mohawk looks really, ever since Punk Rock Storm, I think a mohawk on a girl looks really cool. She's kind of got like the the buzzy cut mohawk thing on the side with more of the the curly hair. I think that looks cool. Actually, I designed a character like that way before this was even made, that looked a lot like her. So I kind of have a partial look to that. I think it looks neat, but like I said, all this, this mental. It's like you're, like I said, these people. It's just like, what are you? What is this? What are you? Are you living in like 1950s conservatism, where it's like, everybody's got to look, have a crew cut, and everybody's got to be blonde haired and blue eyed. I just don't understand. I mean, I understand it, but it's just like, shut up. Jesus. It's just like, I get the overall point you're trying to make, which is not the overall point you're trying to make, but it just, when people really go into, like, they nitpick the shit out of all that stuff, and they're just like, just with this smug, just, it just pisses me off. Like I said, I'm not shooting for the other team here, buddy. It's not like I don't get annoyed at a lot of the stuff that happens anyways, right? But when you're really just going after every little thing because it doesn't fit into your agenda, it gets annoying after a time. And I just stopped listening to it. I just don't listen to that stuff anymore. there's just an echo chamber online of just douchebags that are just, shitting on things just because it gets them clicks, it makes them money, they somehow are always tap dance around the fact that they really are a bunch of piece of shit. You know what I mean? But they don't want to come out and say it because, obviously they want to keep the money train going. So, whatever. Like I said, I'm not naming any names, not talking about anybody specific. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. I guess it is, but anyways, I won't keep harping on that. I guess I should have got it, but it's just like I thought the Green Goddess was going to be a separate character because in the mini comics, Green Goddess is not Tila, right? This is before the Sorcerer was even created, so I just assumed that the Green Goddess was going to be like a resurrected, like they were going to resurrect, or they were just going to somehow find, like, the Green Goddess was going to come, and just like in the original mini comic. Except I didn't watch any of 2000X, so I couldn't tell you if they explored that. I know there's the whole Snake Men thing, and they seem like they're tying it into that. But then they're talking, but then she is Tila because the action figure is Tila, I don't know. I didn't dislike it. I still think she looks amazing. And I really like that look, if that is, that look for Tila. But I was hoping that it was going to be a separate character. But it wasn't. So, I guess I'll just get over it. Having the Horde in there was kind of cool. I liked seeing, like, Mantenna. And was the other character Leech? In it? Or was it... I know Grizzler's in it, but was the other green, like, lizardy character, was that Leech? Or was that, Whiplash? He never had a tail that whipped anything, so I'm assuming it's not Whiplash. But doesn't Leech do leechy things? I didn't see him do any leechy things. He just looked like a ferocious, like, alligator guy who just, was just, like, I'm gonna get you. It was just like the lizard version of Grizzler. I thought it was, I didn't know which character it was. I guess if I looked it up, I guess I could find out. But I figured if it was Leech, he'd have like a sucker mouth and he'd be leeching off things. Or if it was Whiplash, I figured he'd have the tail be whipping around. It's just, who is this character? I think it would have been nice to see, and again, it might still happen, if there's another 5 episodes. But it would have been nice to see She-Ra show up, at least maybe like make mention of her. Maybe I missed it. Like I said, I've only seen it once, and I saw it last Thursday, so I'm going on memory alone. But I don't think they mentioned he had Adora, or he had a cousin, or I think she's his cousin, right? Yeah. They didn't mention any of that. If you have the Horde in it, you would think they would do that. I'd like to see some of the, I'm not a huge She-Ra fan. Like I said, She-Ra's kind of what killed it for me when I was a kid, but I'm not a kid anymore. I can learn to appreciate things now, right? Again, that's just the other thing. It's just like, the whole, it's just like, oh, they're making it, female. It's just like, She-Ra, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, and then some people, like, they love She-Ra, but then they shit on the fact that they made She-Ra, and it's just like, are you guys literally, like, my age in 1984? Are you 12 or 11? Or, yeah, 12. 12, right? 11. 11? It's like you can't appreciate the fact that was actually a good show now when you go back and watch it. Because I can. I mean, like I said, I got out of He-Man because they created She-Ra when I was 11. And I kind of refused to get back into it in 85. I didn't buy any of that. I bought Cyclone. And I bought Cyclone. That was it. And I didn't, I didn't really watch the cartoon, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm an adult. And now that I'm an adult, I look back on it. Just like I didn't like Jack Kirby when I was a kid. Now I like Jack Kirby. I can appreciate things for what they are now, or not even now, just now, but I'm just saying for the last, whatever, 30 years, more than 30 years, since I, became not an 11-year-old, that's been more than that, not 11-year-old kid. But yeah, so, Yeah, I'd like to. I thought that would be kind of cool. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see some of the, like Catra, and I'd like to see. I really like to see Octavia. Like she's a cool character, even though she's kind of a minor character. And then was the Scorpion girl. Who's got the voice? What's her name? She's like the Doctor Girlfriend before Doctor Girlfriend, with the man voice. Scorpia, I can't remember, or Shadow Weaver, or maybe I don't want to see all of the whatever they call them, those little characters, the little elf characters, and maybe I don't want to see Madame Raz. But speaking of weird little goofy characters like that, they had Gwildor in it from the TV show too, or from the movie, and he wasn't in it a lot. I mean, he was in it, briefly, and I thought that was pretty cool. I think they handled him well. No Blade or no Sauron, anybody like that, but they had I say Gwildor. What was I thinking? Oh no, it's the voice acting. So Hordak's done by the guy that I can't remember what his name is. Just put on the glasses. And remember They Live, because Meg Foster was in They Live, right? That guy, black guy. What's his name? I can't remember what his name is. That actor, he does the voice of Hordak, and I thought that was pretty cool. So who is that guy? I looked up. I was like, oh, it's that guy. It's like the voice is like, who is that guy's voice? It's him. So again, I don't know. It's like I need Meg Foster. Well, if you're going to get Meg Foster, you can't get Roddy because he's dead. You're going to get the rest of They Live. That's what I thought. What? Because I don't think he was in Masters of the Universe, was he? I don't think so. I know it'd have been funny. Well, there's no point in the movie because I know the point in the show because they didn't really go to Earth or whatever. It would be funny if Lubick was been funny. The mountain comes to Muhammad. Love that line. Anyways, Gwildor's in it. Like I said, I pretty much thought it was cool. They kind of showed like the dead characters and stuff. And spoiler alert: King Randor dies. Which also it happened so kind of quick and kind of like, I guess they had to kind of get that out of the way. So overall, I liked it, right? I gotta say, I probably liked 80% of it. There is a 20% that I didn't like, and I'm gonna go into that. I don't know what, there's an action figure, the Tila, as the sorceress. There's Meg Foster, yeah. There she is from the original He-Man, the movie. Alright, let's get into this part. I'm going to blow this up just to kind of fill up the screen here. So, I had an issue right off the bat in episode 1. I didn't talk about this last video because I didn't want to do spoilers. Again, spoiler alert. You should know by now because I spoiled it. When they did, in that battle in the beginning when He-Man's fighting Scareglow, right? They do this thing, like I said, they do this thing in movies where, like, they do this, I kind of mentioned in the last video, where they, I don't know what you'd call it, if is it bad writing, is it bad, whatever, action sequence or whatever, but I really hate when, like they just keep doing things just for the sake of doing them. So here's what happens. So Scareglow turns into Super Dimensional Fortress Megazoid Scareglow, right? He's fighting He-Man, he turns giant, so he's enormous, right? And then He-Man ends up, running straight through him, with the sword. Looks like he kills him. Obviously, I don't know, I guess he can't kill Scareglow because he's not alive or whatever, but you defeat this manifestation of Scareglow, this giant, intimidating, massive giant Scareglow. Okay. So, then they think he's dead. But he's not dead. So then he comes back, and then he decides he's going to transform yet again into a not as impressive, not as intimidating version of Scareglow, but with crab legs. And he's like, and it's just like, and then I'm pretty sure, I can't remember exactly if he did, but I think he just defeats that character too. It's just like, why did you do that? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, maybe you should have done it the other way around. Maybe you should have been the less imposing crabby guy first, and then he just looks like he destroys him, but he doesn't, and then he comes back as giant Scareglow, which is more, it's like, oh, well, no, he was crabby guy before, but now he's giant super megazoid Ultraman, Scareglow, and then he runs him through the sword and takes him out. I just don't like it when they do this weird thing where it's just like, I'm going to put on a set of armor to fight you. Oh, wow, it's crazy armor, right? It's like Hulkbuster armor or whatever, right? And then that gets destroyed. And then you go and you get like, like what He-Man's wearing there, just a battle vest. It's just like, okay, well, the big Hulkbuster armor didn't do you any good, so how is this battle vest going to do you any good? I don't know, I just find that weird. Maybe I'm reading too much in that first episode. Maybe it was just my imagination. And again, it's my subjective opinion. But I just found it to be like, this is stupid. Like, I wouldn't have done it that way. I've done it the other way around. So I had that issue with it right out of the get-go. So it kind of made me like, is this going to be like this for the rest of the movie? Again, I guess the other part I didn't like is I wish they would have kind of handled the Green Goddess differently and made her a separate character than Teela. Because it kind of was just weird, And of course they're going to make the green joke. Hey, look, I'm green. But it would have been nice if she was a different character. I just think that it could add something else to it. But again, that's just how I would have done it. It didn't really, the way they did it was fine. I'm not saying mine was better. I'm just saying my way would have been better, but that's the way I would have liked to have seen it. Again, if you think the same thing, let me know in the comments. Do you think that would have been better if Green Goddess was a separate character? Teela would have been a standalone character. What else was kind of a little off-putting in it? Oh, Grayskull. I gotta say, I really don't, and I said this before, I do not like the CG animation, just blatantly CG animation, so heavily prominent with hand-drawn animation. I just don't think it meshes well. I think it's off-putting. And then when they do like the, in the whatever they call it, the motherboard girl, woman, mother brain, whatever her name is, mother box, when she takes over Grayskull and, it's all, technoed out. I thought that was kind of just like, ooh, I don't want the way that looks either. I understand that it's going to look different because they're taking over Grayskull, but just the way it looked, it just looked too CG-y. And then they brought the Horde ships came in, and there's a cool scene where the one Horde ship's flying over Grayskull, but it's all, I don't know, I just didn't care for the look of it. I love the animation. I think the characters look really well, but that part just kind of turned me off. Other than that, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that just stood out that's like, ugh. I have to watch it again. And I will watch it again. And if I want to watch it again, it means that I probably liked it. I'm not saying I'm going to run and watch it this evening again, but I'd like to see it again just to kind of see if there's stuff that I missed. Like I said, I think it was decent. I think it did, however, and this isn't really a slam against it, but it did seem very apparent that they were in damage control, meaning it seemed like they really were self-aware when they made this about all of the criticisms that people did have about things, not focusing on He-Man. Now they focused a lot on He-Man. A lot of people, Andra, was that her name? Yeah. Andra, I guess, had a lot of problems with her character. Again, I don't think her character was that bad, but a lot of people had problems with it, so they kind of sidelined her and put her kind of in the background. She was still there. That's definitely very reactionary. It seems like they were playing damage control, and it was kind of apparent, and some certain things that I think people, voiced their opinion quite heavily about. I think they kind of tried to compensate for that. That said, there was a few things, I think they left in it that I also think people had problems with. But, by and large, I thought it was fine. It's not, wasn't expecting a lot, even from the revelations. I was expecting just to see something new. Yes, I mean, I was under the assumption, just like we all were, that Kevin Smith was going to do something more closer to the Filmation show. I would have preferred that. Like I said, I would have preferred episodic. I would have preferred Monster of the Week or Villain of the Week. I would have preferred all of that. But I got, again, if they are only going to do 5 episodes, there's only so many. You can't really. It couldn't be just 5 episodes. And like I said, everybody loves the linear thing now. And I don't dislike linear things. Obviously, I can enjoy those too. But I prefer the episodic thing. Again, we're getting into how I would have done things, and maybe it would have failed. I know there are a lot of people that, for some reason, think that episodic stuff is somehow, inferior or lowbrow or not as sophisticated. Again, here we go back to it's freaking He-Man. It doesn't have to be that sophisticated, right? It's like, I don't know what, it's like, are you really hoping for, overt realism and it's a fantasy story, fantasy characters doing fantastic things, absurd things, things are over the top. I mean, you don't need to have, it doesn't have to be high art. I really don't like. I think that's what destroyed comic books in general. I think it's this whole notion that comic books have to be so, put on such a pedestal and be such this high, sophisticated thing, right? Why? At what for what reason? Just to make you feel like you're smart because you like the shit? You know what I mean? I just don't understand that either. Um, I think it is what it is. I think it was a children's toy in the 80s and a children's show in the 80s, right? And then they kind of tried to make a movie a little bit for all ages towards the end of the 80s, which failed. And there's a core demographic of He-Man fans that have endured through not having anything new. And then you get the 2000X, and I think it might have caught on some newer fans. I thought it was I just didn't like it. I was totally turned off by it. And then you got this new show that's not. It's done better. It looks better than the 2000X. Seems like they've gone a little bit more back to what things should look like and not make them so 2000X-y. I think that was cool. That was a good idea. Yeah, but I mean, I think and maybe it caught on some new fans, maybe some younger fans. I still think it was probably most of us older fans that are the ones that are that like it. Again, I mean, as I showed in this video, my videos from before, I was there at Ground Zero, 1982. I was 9 years old. I was the perfect age to start consuming this stuff, and I was right there with all of the 80s and all of the cartoons and all of the merchandising and all the toys, right? And I was a kid at that time, and the stuff was pretty much made for me, and my peers. So and like I said, and I've always loved it. It's not been in the fourth, like I said, going into the late 80s, I kind of forgot about it. I never watched the New Adventures of He-Man, and then to the 90s, I pretty much just, and didn't stop liking it, but, and it wasn't until literally they reissued those action figures, I think in the year 2001, is when I was like, hey, and I started buying those, and I rekindled my love of He-Man. I remember having to go down to Thomas Video and getting the only 4 VHS copies and renting those and watching. I literally hadn't seen the cartoon since the 80s. And I was like, oh, I really like the cartoon. And this is before YouTube and everything. And then now with all that stuff, and then they reissued it. Now I own all the episodes and blah, 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 blah on DVD. Yeah. at 50 years old, did I enjoy this? Yeah. I enjoyed the Revelations. I said I like this better just because I think they did things better in it. But I liked Revelations. I never had any real issues with it. No issues with Andra and her mentally ill haircut. Making everybody buff. I think they were a little excessive with making. That's the other thing is they toned down Tila's buffness. I think they kind of, but that's just a design. That's just how they design the characters. I think they got a little excessive with the female characters. They got them a little too. It's not. I don't like buff. I don't mind the muscles, but it's just they're too angular. I think even the men too. I think they kind of, sanded down some of the rough edges on them too, and made them a little bit rounder, but still buff. It's He-Man. Look at all the figures. I've got them right here in the case. They're all huge. They're all giant steroid bodybuilders. The original Adam, looks like could tear your head off. The girls were not as buff. No, they really crazy thighs on them. I know that. But yeah, like I said, I think that was, something that people complained about in the first one that I kind of agreed with. I didn't think it looked terrible. Tila having her weird, her mentally ill haircut. God, I'm so sick of hearing that. I'm just so weird. It's just like, are you that binary? Not binary is not the word. Are you that black and white? Girl must have long hair or not girl. Girl short hair, not girl at all. Are you that frickin' Neander? Are you that black and white? That was I didn't want to say conservative or black and white. It's like, are you that extreme in your take on things? There's no gray area. You can't, I'm not saying, everybody's got to be transgender, this androgynous thing, but I mean, what about in the 80s? Didn't you listen to heavy metal music? All those dudes had long hair, right? Poison looked like girls on their covers. Kiss wore makeup and high heels. Do you have a problem with them too? Men must wear suit. Men must have buzz cut. Can the guy have a beard, or is that not? Is that too? Old man wear beard. Short no beard. Young man. I mean, it's so hard lined, that decision. Girl can't have short hair. Must wear dress. Can't wear pants. Seriously, if that's how you think, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're gonna hate on stuff because of goofy hang-ups like that, I mean, I have goofy hang-ups with stuff, but I don't think my goofy hang-ups are that bad. It just seems, like I said, it just seems like you're. I don't know what to say. I mean, even my dad, as bad as he, I mean, trust me, my dad was a very, very. I'm not gonna say he's my dad, but I mean, see, he had all his opinions, and his opinions would not fly today, right? But he didn't, you see short hair on a girl and stuff. He never said, "Oh, she's got a mental haircut," she's a dyke. I never heard him say those words, right? There wasn't a lot of lesbians back then, anyways, or if they were closet lesbians. My dad didn't really have an opinion about lesbians for some reason. He didn't like gay men, but lesbians, he didn't. He never even said, I don't even think he ever used, anything derogatory towards them. But yeah, I mean, as bad as he was, I mean, he didn't say like if a woman wears pants, she's not a woman, or she must wear a skirt and have long hair all the time. Whatever. Aren't you? If you're my age, didn't your mother at some point end up cutting her hair when she got older because she didn't feel like doing it anymore, and she got some crazy, poodle perm or something, or some other, hair that's not long, hair. Do you got a problem? Do you think your mother's mentally ill? I know. I'm sorry. I could go on forever with this, and I won't. So I'll probably call it quits there. Plus, we're getting up on 45 minutes. So again, do I have any more videos to show? I don't know. Green Goddess, or Eternia. But yeah. So I think those are all my all my pictures. Like I said, I didn't really grab a lot. I just pulled a bunch of them out just to kind of put something in the background. But yeah, go watch it if you got your Netflix. There's no reason not to. You're paying for it. Go watch it. It's whatever 3.5 hours. Put it all together, all 5 episodes, probably like 3 hours or so, or something like that. I don't know. You do the math. Um, I might get the Green Goddess figure when she comes out. That's kind of neat. Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna take a look at what all of the new figures. I'm not a huge fan of that scale though. I gotta say, I have Battle Cat, and I think I sold the two He-Man and Skeletor. I think I have Skelegod and Battle Cat left. They're in a box under my bed. They're all right. I don't know. Not a big fan of them. Um, Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Masterverse figures. I prefer the Origins figures. We do got the Green Goddess figure. It's my son's, but it's kind of I guess our shared collection. But yeah. Um, let me just speak on that a little bit too, because that's kind of an issue, I guess. Is I did the same thing when the Origin stuff came out. I was like, I'm gonna see it. I wanted to, and my son was my age at the time. Let's see, he was 8. Was he 8? He was 8. Um, when we got it, he was 7, 8. Okay, so he's just a hair younger than me, but he's pretty much the same age I was when I got into He-Man. And anyways, he got into it. He really liked the stuff. He was watching the cartoon with me. We watched, like I said, we watched Revelations. He's got his He-Man collection. He doesn't really care for it right now. None of these he'll be 12 in a couple of weeks. He's kind of, it's kind of like I was when I was 12, which is like, I don't really want my friends to know I still play with this stuff. And plus he doesn't play with them anyways, but he's on to the digital crack. He likes his video games, and he likes his and he is also into the guitar and playing music and stuff like that. So it's kind of where he's at. But I kind of did the same thing. I wanted him to, I kind of wanted him to get into this stuff, and I don't know. He never came out and said it, so I can't confirm if my son's the same thing. But I've noticed a lot of people problem they were having was that they tried to do that. They tried to take this property from, the 80s, and then these dads had grown up and, tried to get their sons into the toys because they kind of want to get back into it. They're for nostalgic purposes, and it kind of backfired. Not a lot of kids got into it. I guess what are the theories with kids don't want they don't want their dad's thing, they want their own thing. And that is probably true. Like I said, it's probably true with my son too. He never really came out and said that, but I got the impression that that's how he kind of felt. And I think I might have asked him at one point. He just didn't really have an opinion. But I would think probably that's the case. I mean, the kids want their own thing, and they don't want to. They don't want to. It's like like I said, being in the 80s. I mean, did I want to? Was I really into the Lone Ranger? Not really. My dad liked him, and I kind of liked him with my dad, and I liked watching the old show with my dad, but it wasn't really my thing. I did have the doll on the horse, just Lone Ranger in silver. I never had Tonto or Scout. I think I had the small Lone Ranger figures. I saw the movie that was out in the theater at the time in the late 70s, early 80s. It was 80, I think. But yeah, I kind of liked it, but it's like, it's my dad's thing. I kind of wanted my own thing. And then obviously here comes along all this stuff and, plenty of it. But did I like Howdy Doody? My dad's big thing when he was, my age in the 50s, because he's exactly 30, he was exactly 30 years, when he had me. So in 1984 or 1982, it was 1952. I don't know exactly when Howdy Doody came out, but I mean, Howdy Doody, Lone Ranger, all that stuff that the kids of the 50s really liked. I liked it. I mean, I thought it was cool. I kind of liked some of that stuff, but I mean, it was just like, that's my dad's stuff. And I think the same thing works with this stuff. It's that right now this is watching He-Man Revolution is like watching the updated version of the Lone Ranger for us in the 80s. I mean, we watched it, we enjoyed it, we weren't super into it. We probably all felt the same thing. It's stuff that our dads liked. Um, you know, so yeah, I think rehashing all of this old stuff because they can't make up anything new, I think is a problem. I think if they put all of this energy that they put into a show like this and all the money and stuff and all of the everything they did, if they put that into a new property, but the thing is they know that people are going to shit on it if it's a new property. People, it's like, I don't want, why is everything, rebooted? I don't want to see any more reboots. All right, here's a new show. Oh, I don't like the new show. It's terrible. It's just a copy of the old stuff. Okay. Again, this isn't the 80s. This isn't, and like, look, He-Man, it's Conan, right? It's a copy of Conan. It's Star Wars meets Conan. I mean, you can have the same argument. You could go through everything in the 80s that is so beloved, and you could most likely tie it back to, Lord of the Rings, the Star Wars, and Conan, or some, variant thereof. G.I. Joe. Well, it was a product in the 60s, and now it's a new show. Even though it's newer, like this is newer. It's a good example. Think about the G.I. Joe product from the 60s, right? And then think of G.I. Joe Real American Hero, right? That's like the revolution of the original G.I. Joe. So, and Transformers wasn't even created here. They co-opted it from Japan, right? So there's your big three. Conan, Star Wars, Revolution version of G.I. Joe, and something you co-opted from another country. That was your big three in the 80s, right? Not very original, right? No. Just like now. Like I said, I watched Rebel Moon. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it like I don't watch this. I had issues with it, but I enjoyed it. I want to see the new Rebel Moon. Am I super into it? No. I mean, I'm not 50. I don't have that 12-year-old, whatever you call it, where everything's so impressionable and you really lock that stuff in. At 50 years old, yeah, I like it. I'd like to see more of it. I'd like it to exist rather than not exist. Let's put it that way. Because if shows like that don't exist, then you're not going to get anything new. Is it bad? Yeah, yes, it's subjective. Could it be better? Also subjective, but let's just hypothetically say the first one was okay. The second one gets better, right? Maybe they do the same thing with this one. Maybe they right the ship. They hey, let's listen to everything people complained about it, and let's kind of steer the ship in a better direction. I've got to do that every frickin' day when I do my own comics, right? I've got to listen to my audience. And if my numbers start sinking because I'm going down a certain rabbit hole or going in a certain direction in my story, right? My numbers start sinking. You know what I got to do? I got to identify what I did wrong, and then correct the ship so that the numbers come back. I do it on a daily basis, and I'm sure these people are doing the exact same thing. So, like I said, if you're gonna get huffy and puffy about this, about being, it's like, oh, scarred with Revelations, it was so terrible, I'm not even gonna give this one a chance. It's just like, all right, then don't. I just, me personally, if you've been watching my videos and you kind of know where I'm coming from, and you respect, and so you have to listen to me, but if you respect my opinion, or if you think my opinion, if you like my opinion on things, right? My opinion for this is just go watch it. If you've got Netflix already, which most of us do, you're already paying for it, so just go watch it. Go enjoy something you already paid for. And if you don't like it, don't watch it again. If you didn't like the first episode, don't continue watching. It's that simple. So I haven't listened to any of the negative criticism for this yet. Like over the weekend, I didn't pay attention to any of it. So I did see that there was a the guy from Glenn Larson. Is it Glenn Larson? Dave Larson? I can't remember what his name is. The guy from Secret Galaxy and Pixel Dan. I saw that they did kind of a live chat thing about it. I didn't watch it yet. So I know nothing about the negative or positive feedback on the show yet. I don't really care to either, but I might watch like that one interview and see what they say about it. Pixel Dan seems to be very optimistic about things. So and maybe I'll listen to some of the naysayers, the usual suspects, and see if it's like, are you guys true to form, or are you actually, what do you call it, going to give us your honest opinion? So, anyways, let's end it there. It's pretty much coming up on an hour. So, again, subscribe to All That Business. We're getting there. Heading up on 150 videos here, and we're almost to 300 subscribers in 7 months. 7 months. And I've made almost 150 hours worth of content. I only got 260 subscribers. Like I said, I'm constantly having to figure out what am I doing wrong, and I got to right the ship. If I want my numbers to go up, right, I've got to do something. I got to, pull a rabbit out of my ass and see if I can, get people to jump on board. So I encourage you, jump on board if you're watching. If you watch to this end, jump on board, subscribe, and come back for more. I'm going to continue with my 80s stuff. I posted today, because this is Monday when I'm recording this. I posted the top 50 albums according to that one website, but I kind of agree with him, of 1984. Again, I found the Christmas catalog of so the JCPenney's Christmas catalog in 1984, so I'll probably go through that. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else left to let you know until maybe I record the next video. Alright, I'll catch you later then. Alright, bye.